All right, guys. This is the landing page for the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance application. Now, I'm going to go through this specifically for nonprofits. Okay, there's been a tremendous amount of changes. This should be relatively up to date. They changed the page yesterday. Today is Tuesday, the 31st of March, and it's at least my understanding that you should be able to receive about $10,000 just for making application. Now, there are some parameters about the rest of the loan. For nonprofits, you should be able to receive a fixed rate interest loan at 2.75%, and that would be for and it seems like everybody right now is being amortized for 30 years. Now that would be that's subject to change as the volume decreases, but right now, just for the sake of making things move fast, they're setting everyone at the same amortization period. So depending on when you're making application, that may not hold true. So I would suggest that you make application as quick as you can. The other thing is your first payment would not be due for a year after you take the loan down. So that's another interesting fact. The other thing is you're going to have 6 months from the time that you're approved for the loan in order to take advantage of the loan. Now this is just stage one, a very simple process of it. There will be far more documentation that will be requested of you. This is a process by which they just get the $10,000 to you very quickly and kind of just get a preliminary group of amount of information from you. So it's going to be fairly simple. There will be some other things, and I will put more videos out about the specific information that you would need to have available whenever that starts. But right now, we just need to get everybody out there to apply for this, get the $10,000. Now, the $10,000 is forgivable just for making application. And it's my understanding, even if you don't get approved for the loan, you will still receive the $10,000. So there may be some criteria for that, maybe if you owed them money or something, but no, they are not specifying that there's any criteria, but I wouldn't be surprised that there's not some little criteria over that. But nonetheless, let's just dig into it and let me show you how it works. So the first one, you're going to choose one of these. So we're dealing with a nonprofit. So here we go. Applicant is a private nonprofit that is non-governmental agency or entity that's currently has an effective ruling letter from the IRS granting tax exemption under sections 501c, D, or E of the IRS tax code. Satisfactory evidence from the state that the non-revenue producing organization or entity is a nonprofit, one, organization or doing business under state law or faith-based organization. So you do need to have a 501c3 designation from Internal Revenue, and you need to be a state nonprofit entity. So you need to be a true 501c3 with a state charter that is nonprofit. So you would check that. That is you. Now you're going to go through these things, make sure, and you're going to certify that you're not any of these following things, and don't check it if you are. So, all right, so don't do any illegal activity. Nobody owns any of it. It's a non-profit, so that wouldn't matter. You're not agriculture enterprise other than aquaculture or agricultural co-op or nursery. And applicant doesn't live, does not presently present live performances of sexual nature, so we check that. And applicant does not derive more than a third of gross annual revenue from legal gambling activities, okay. And applicant is not in the business of lobbying. And applicant cannot be a state, local, or municipal government entity, and it can't be a member of Congress. So there you go. Now keep in mind, these forms aren't specifically just for nonprofit. It's a standard form that everybody from a sole proprietor to a corporation to nonprofit to LLCs, everyone prepares the same documentation. Now, you may want to jot this phone number down or jot down this email address. This is the contact information for SBA to check on the status of your application. All right. So now we're through the first section. So this is where you would enter in the name, Good Works. All right. If you operated under some other trade name, the way, say, Mission Waco's Cross Cultural Experiences or something, but their trade name is, Mission Waco, you would, do it that way. But in my case, we're gonna be the same deal. This is where you would enter the EIN number for the organization. What kind of organizational type is it? So most likely all these will be C Corps. All right. Are you a nonprofit? Yes, I am a nonprofit. Are you a franchise? No. Oh. All right. So now you're going to see what was the gross revenue for the prior 12 months ending January. So that'll take a little calculation. You can't just go to your year end. So you're going to have to subtract off of 2019. You're going to have to basically take January of 19 off and add January of 20 to it. So it's not quite a nice even year. So let's just say we had 500K. All right, and cost of goods sold. Most nonprofits would not probably have any cost of goods sold. So we have that. Some of you may. Some of you maybe. I don't know. Maybe some of you that might operate a store where you purchase things, but cost of goods sold are going to be items that you would sell. And that you purchase to sell. I know some of you operate stores, but those items are donated to you, so that wouldn't really count. It would be items that are going to be purchased to resell. Okay, if you had rental properties, maybe you would enter that there. Now, nonprofit cost of operation for 12 months prior to the disaster, that's when you're going to enter in your cost of operation. So that's going to be your total expenses for that same period that we're talking about, not an exact calendar year. It's kind of a month off. Going to go ahead and put that all in there. Combined operating expenses for 12 months prior to the date of the disaster for all secular social services provided by the faith-based entity. All right. And so if you did have those things, if that associated with you, then you would put that, and then you would list out what those social services are for a faith-based entity, if you are a faith-based entity. I wouldn't think that these numbers should be, there shouldn't be a overlap. You shouldn't be doubling those numbers. So this should be the total cost, and then this should be a subset of that. So anyway, list those things out. Compensation from other sources received as a result of the disaster. This would be if you had other, this wouldn't be folks that donated money to you or whatever. These would be other programs that you took advantage of, for instance, as a result of the disaster. Right now, there's not a lot of other things out there, but if maybe in the future there will be that you could take advantage of, you would list those. Provided brief description of the other compensation sources, so you would list it. Receive some money from the county if we had those things, or in our case there is a PPP program that you guys will also be available for. It's my understanding that that won't be rolled out for a couple of weeks now, so there will probably be a similar question on it about this. So if you get some money from this, you would need to report it there. Vice versa, if you were filling this out after you'd already received PPP funds, you would certainly mention that. So obviously you're going to want to put your address there. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, Easy Street. It's going to be in Waco, Texas. I've got a little drop down. Bring you through this process. Okay. We're going to be McLennan. Alright, zip code 08. Alright, your business number. Alright, alternative number. Go ahead and fill out a number. I mean, you never know what might happen to your cell phone or to your main number. Who knows? So give them as many ways to contact you as you can. So alright. Now, when did the organization start? Okay, so 1-01-2005, let's say. Current ownership, since you don't have ownership, I would just use the same date though. Keep in mind this is a form that's standard across multiple types of things. So if you're a faith-based organization, that's where you would put that there. If you were some other type of organization, just look for what's gonna, kind of be the closest situation for what you are. Let's go with that. Detailed business activity. Now it lists a church, but churches are not available for that, so probably none of the above. Number of employees. How many employees do you have? Let's just say I got 5. Okay, so I missed something somewhere. Otherwise, this thing would light up. So let's look at these little dots and look for some. They're all green. Let's see where they're not green. Where did I miss? Oh, okay. So it's not a correct format. I screwed something up here. Maybe I had too many. Maybe I didn't have enough 5s. Yeah, just didn't have enough 5s. So, all right. Go back up here. Now, individual owner or agent. I would suggest probably just the executive director would fill that out. Maybe a president. Let's just say, oops. All right. All right. Let's see what options we have. Okay. So CEO, other, owner, manager, accountant, whatever you want to do. We want to go for other. Ownership percentage, it has to be filled out. I would probably just go ahead and put 100% just to make it even, because let's see. But if we got about with 0, I guess you could go 0 actually, but either 0 or 100, either one would probably be fine. 0 would be technically correct, but like I said, this is a form that has multiple uses. So give it a chance. Go ahead and enter your social security number, your birth date. Alright, place of birth, U.S. citizen, and then where you live. Okay. Here you go. And once again, something's off kilter. Forgot this. Is this business entity owned by, is this business owned by a business entity? No, it is not. So then it's highlighted and I can get access to it. Okay, so now it's asking you, we're on the final scenario here. It's asking you for the few more declarations. In the past years, the business or listed owner been convicted? No. Just read these. Make sure that they all, you can answer no to any of those. You should be able to, because you don't have ownership. Shouldn't matter, but you need to go ahead and check no, because like I said, time and time again, this form's not specifically designed for nonprofit, so just understand that. Now this section is if you had someone that you paid to prepare this for you, or if someone assisted you in preparing it that's not related to your organization. That's when you would do that, and then you would do it. Well, maybe if you had your accountant prepare it, your accountant would fill their information out and check that, and then list their fee right there. So now what you're going to want to do is check that. I would like to be considered for an advance of up to $10,000. That's where you would do it. Now here's where you would enter in your bank, super bank, Alright, you would enter in the account number. Okay. Alright, and then the routing number. Alright, and read all of that. Make sure you're okay with it, and then you're going to be certifying that everything you said was true and correct, and there is some, you know, legal and criminal penalties for lying under this, so be completely aware of that. And then once you do that, I'm not going to click that because none of this is true, and so I would be committing perjury, it looks like, if I hit that next button. But having completed this for my own personal businesses, I know that the summary section is just a summary of everything that you have entered in to this point. So you can then review it all on a drop-down sheet that's pretty condensed so that you can make sure that it's all correct. And then you will hit you know, a final submission or OK button, and then it will be all submitted and ready to go. So it's a very simple process at this stage of the game. You will certainly be asked for your 990 tax returns at some point. I would think you're probably going to get this 10 grand pretty quick. They may not even ask you for anything. They're just going to send this money out. They're going to drop it into this account that you specify here, just a direct deposit. But for any additional funds, they will be requesting for the loan portion of it. They will be requesting additional information, and I would not, I would discourage you for not at least considering the loan funds. That's going to be a very, very favorable terms, and you know, this is a unprecedented crisis, and I would think that there are going to be needs everywhere, and you know, it's going to be very difficult for nonprofits probably to attract fundraising. Some may not have any trouble, but a lot will have. So, and there's certainly going to be a lot of need. So in any way, if you can get money at maybe, you know, a little over inflation rates and pay it back over a 30-year period, that is not at all unwise financial situation. So, but those are decisions that probably have to be made at each of your board's level, but certainly don't dismiss them out of hand just because some aversion to borrowing, because at this point we're in a different world. You also have 6 months to decide, so don't make it hastily. See what 6 months looks like. I would put off making that decision till the last possible moment, because you never know what you know, what a few months down the road are going to bring, and what you might be able to do with that money to help leverage yourself and your organization, because there's going to be a lot of need out there, and all of you are very important to this community, and I certainly appreciate all the work that you guys are doing. And I want to thank Ashley for reaching out to me at Waco Foundation and asking me to do this specifically for the nonprofit community. I have a huge heart for.